where do you think we're at as far as maybe a baseball analogy? Like, what inning are we at as far as the podcast industry?
Ooh, what inning? Oh, I think we're in the first or second inning of podcasting. I definitely subscribe to what Gary Vee's been touting for quite some time about audio. It just allows you to multitask. I'm sure if you guys, I don't know if you guys are listeners or not. I mean, I'm a big podcast, YouTube, audio listening, so I drive now every day here, and that's how I consume so much content. Like you can multitask. I can receive this information, or I can, like a lot of people, we have a huge following of truck drivers and people that could be doing their job, and they consume 8 hours of Mind Pump a day. So I just think I think that's growing, you know? I think YouTube and video will remain. I don't think it's gonna take that over, but just like your analogy with sports, like it's gonna be the MLB, and then there's the NBA, and then the NFL, like it's that big, and I think we're in the first couple innings, man. I think that it's still really, really small. And a good example of how small it still really is part of like, and this is a mistake we made, was waiting so long to put effort in YouTube. YouTube is such a bigger pool. So that's half of why we're having so much success on YouTube, is it's just a much bigger pool of people that are now finding us, and it's like rapidly growing, where we were kind of like a big fish in a small pond in the podcast world. Like we pretty relatively quickly made our way to the top fitness podcast in the world, but that's still a small to medium-sized pond when you compare it to like YouTube. So I think it's going to rival that as far as size, like the sport analogy you give. I think right now YouTube is like NFL, NBA, and the podcasting space is not even playing professional sport yet. Like another sign of that is what we're seeing in advertising. Like, so one of my favorite things to talk about is the advertising side of this business, because it's so green. Like when I came into it, I was blown away by how little people knew. Like it was like this arbitrary number of like $20 a CPM. It's like, who the fuck made that up? And why does this guy get it and I get the same thing when my sales scales is 10 times better than him, just because we're the same amount? That makes no sense to me. And it's because no one's evolved it and done it. And so we're trying to evolve even what that looks like. And the players that are getting involved in advertising and podcasting is still, you don't see a lot of, I mean, you're starting to see the Coke and Pepsi, like we just got offered from Fiji Water. It's more of the smaller kind of new companies that are hip to it, that see the writing on the wall, because the conversion rates smokes radio and TV. So any real smart business person knows it, but they're so stuck in their old ways. Coca-Cola and brands like that have been around for decades, that they already have their $1 billion budget every year, that they already do all these other things, that getting them to go look at this little tiny podcasting space, they kind of like, whatever. But as it grows and gets more and more, and it's gaining more and more attention of bigger brands. Dude, we're in the first couple innings.